I think that worked. So we'll let this kind of populate here, is what we like to say. We like to use a lot of YouTube.
Now.
We like to use a lot of YouTube jargon. And I think the word is
profesh.
populate. The word is
Love
populate. So I'm going to go grab always the first. Hey, Josh, always the first couple minutes here are awkward because we're waiting for people to get in here. We're sending out the tweet. We're getting the link live. So, and now Alex Bush is calling me, which is just a minute and a half too late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might have been on the subway. He may have been on the subway.
So we're live. We're live right now, which is exciting. I'm going to get this tweet out, and then we're going to talk about how we ended up in the game and how we ended up looking the way we looked, and it looks great.
My last name is pronounced Muse like Cruz, not Muiz like Louise.
Muse, like the band.
Yep. I should have dropped the I years ago. As a creative director, it just makes so much more sense, but that's on me. I should have rebranded.
Do you like the band Muse?
I mean, they're a great band.
Uprising, it's a great song.
I don't know that band.
You don't?
Anthemic rock. Big sound. Anthemic, I guess is what I would put.
That's
Frankie?
a great way to put it. That's a fantastic way to put it. Yeah, the Uprising
stadium
song
and the move your butt.
Exactly. Absolutely right. All right. Well, for everyone that's hopping in here, we are on PGA Tour 2K23. We are with an HB Studios developer, the person behind the curtain, and the reason why we are in this video game, Josh Muse. Thank you for joining us from, like I said, from HB Studios. I've actually been a fan of you guys for a long time, back into the golf club video games when you guys were just this like mini little studio. I would go on the Reddit pages and like try and find out like what your guys' deal was, and like the community around your studio and that game was so cool. And I knew that the future of this game only had like the moon in path and beyond that, because the idea of being able to build your own golf course and like how you guys use the community to see like what people actually wanted in a golf game is so cool. So really happy to have you on, obviously, with everything that's happened with us as a partner with the game and stuff. So welcome on to the show here.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thanks for the great intro, and thrilled to be here. And yeah, equal thanks back to you guys and the team at Barstool. Like, you have become part of our story too in the last couple of years too. Everything you've done from building that outrageously huge and successful society in 21 that was just out of control, absolutely huge, tons of people playing it, which was amazing, and seeing that continue forward and now getting to kind of work together in an official partnership it's been fantastic. So yeah, thanks for having me.
I guess like right off the top, and we're going to get into a game here. Trent and I will just play. We'll play with our character. If you see anything that sticks out to you, we'll ask you about it. But I want to know from your perspective, how crazy was it? Like, what's your start? What's your story of how you started with this whole studio, the developing of this game, and then talk to us about like the explosion that happened when 2K kind of came into play. Because now you guys have Tiger Woods on the cover of your video game. You know what I mean? That's a pretty big deal.
So you know what, it's a pretty big deal. That's a good way to put it. So yeah, no, I mean, my story is ultimately a lot of HB's story. I've been around a long time. So the studio started in 2000 in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, up here on the sleepy coast of Canada. So yeah, we started in this small fishing village, and that's ultimately where we've stayed for the last 23 plus years now. And we've been able to build up this, what was once a small independent studio. It kind of grew in size, and then caught the attention of PGA Tour, which caught the attention of 2K. Fast forward, now here we are as, partners in this huge PGA 2K franchise. We started off as a small studio working predominantly in sports. Way back in the early days, we were doing mostly games like rugby, cricket, soccer. We did hockey. We kind of covered the sports gamut. We were more of kind of the hands behind the face, if that makes sense. We were the hands behind the curtain. We were helping other studios kind of, finish their games. And we had a long history in sports. So we crossed over, worked on some huge franchises for years and years and years. And then eventually, back in around 2014, struck out and decided to make our own golf game. And so that was the golf club, as you kind of shouted out there, which was like our first real foray into stepping into the limelight and being kind of the logo on the box and people starting to find out who exactly HB Studios were. So from those humble beginnings and really leaning into the community, that was kind of the way we accelerated our learning and really built trust up early on in the process, was making ourselves accessible, really listening to the fans, having an active forum, and, trying to put ourselves out there and be approachable and take that feedback on board. And so over the years, we just kind of kept trying to maintain that piece of the formula, even with the big licenses that came in, the players that came in. And so that's kind of been in our DNA.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's just a night and day. Just like it's amazing how quickly, like, you put in so much work. There's so many breaks that you guys have to probably like get, and there's so many hurdles you have to go over, and then once it happens, it's probably like an avalanche. It's similar to us with Foreplay, where it's like one day we're in this little room talking about golf in the middle of like the dirtiest studio of all time at Barstool Sports headquarters, and then the next day we're walking the fairway with Tiger Woods. You're like, how did you go from A to B within like 12 months? And it just skyrockets, man. I've seen it on our side with this video game, just like how obsessive people become with these games. And you guys have really nailed keeping it really like you've made the fans happy, which I love. Like, and I've talked to a lot of these like golf course developers and these architects and these guys that really love the building aspect to your game, and you guys have really made them happy, which I think is like the best part. Like, it's a true real golf game. It's not like arcadey. It's like it's difficult. It's like it's realistic. The ball rolls correctly. I love that shit. Like, I live for that stuff. Some people fight
against that. Some entities, regardless of what you're in, video games, podcasts, they don't listen to anybody, and they just go. They hear what the fans are saying, but they don't listen to them. Now, you don't want to listen to everybody, but you listen to the ones that you know are coming from a genuine place. And if you do those things, it just makes everything better.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's starting to, you do have to trust your instincts, right? At the end of the day, you do have to believe in where you've come from, the skills that you've built over time. So like those 10 or 15 or 20 years in the dark, when you're kind of building up those skills before you become the overnight success, like there still has to be a healthy level of self-confidence in the abilities of your team and the type of people that you're bringing in. But you're right, though, Trent, like the fans make this whole thing work. We're making the game for the fans. And so it becomes a balance. And I think you start to be able to kind of sift through if somebody hits a frustration or a friction point in the game and they've taken the time to break it down, articulate it, send those notes through, like that's putting so much of their own time and energy into reaching out and kind of going through the right channels where you can tell if somebody's just kind of trolling and looking to get a rise out of you, or if someone has like genuine granular feedback that they've taken the time to articulate. So we make the biggest effort that we can to read through that stuff and to bring it on board. And I think that it's that, kind of openness and knowing that we're always willing to listen and execute on the things that we can execute on to keep trying to move this thing, forward together. Because you're right, Frankie, like we started out building this for golfers, like golf remains undefeated, right? There's nothing like golf in that it can be so difficult and so punishing, but that one moment emerges in a round of golf that just brings you back into it, right? It's like it can save that bad round. It can save, a bad season of golf. And so you want to represent golf in its truest form, but you also want to open up the funnel and bring new players in, because once you get past that initial skill hurdle, you fall in love pretty quickly, right? And so that's the push and pull, I think, that we face with it, is that while we always want to stay true to our roots and maintain that kind of hardcore soul, if you will, it's starting to find new ways to bring more players into it and just bring people into that golf experience and then get them on for the long ride.
So how long does it take? And, we're in the video game, which is insane. And it was a process of like emailing back and forth, getting people in. How long does it take for just, you can give me like, explain it to me like I'm 5, to essentially make one golf video game? Like, how long did it take to get all of this stuff in here? Because the engine's insane. The course builder's insane. We played Hogwarts the other day. And the fact that... Who the hell did that? Have you seen that? Are you behind that? Are you guys behind that? So someone's on just a PC just figuring out how to do that?
Wizards, right? You're a wizard, Harry.
That must have taken that guy a year. I built 2 golf courses, and I had help from the Crazy Canuck, one of those crazy golf course architects, and it took us like 7 months to do it. I can't even imagine. So how long, like A to B of PGA Tour 2K23, how long is it taking for you guys to really put out this game? It's got to be so much work.
It is, right? But the one thing we have working in our favor is that because this title is now standing on the shoulders of the titles that came before it, we're able to kind of accelerate our learning and build on top of it. So, like from the last release, 2K21 to 23, we were looking at about a 2-year kind of timeline in between there. But you have to remember that the momentum that was pulling forward from TGC 19, that was pulling forward from even learnings from like Golf Club VR, like everything that we had done historically in the past is like, you're building up that general golf knowledge with your team and within the studio. Individuals are getting more familiar with the sport. They're getting more familiar with the physics. They're getting more familiar with just the subject matter. So things start to get a little bit quicker over time, but like, it's hard to put a number on it because like, it's one of those things that I feel like we could work on it forever, you know, because there's so much to building these games. And then when we go down the path of trying to represent kind of every corner of the globe by bringing those elements into the course design, and that just multiplies it exponentially, because now you're trying to capture almost an immeasurable amount of content and different looks and different feels. And so long story short is, yeah, we definitely put that full 2 years in from pillar to post, really working hard. But even now you see the post-launch plan and kind of the roadmap that we still have content rolling through that, you know, it's our pleasure to do it. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes in, and a super dedicated team that I'm very grateful to get to work with. And just the people we've pulled into our gravity the past couple of years has given us such great opportunity to continue kind of just like, again, building on top of something that we always kind of believed had great potential. And now it's just that amplification thing, like you had touched on, where you find yourselves in these new situations where all of a sudden more people are looking, more people are listening. And so you're just trying to really make the best decisions you can to keep kind of growing it and moving it forward.
Right. That's a great point too, because, and real quick before you answer that, like we're playing with multiple things that were released post launch. We're playing with 2 characters that you guys released as an additional, add on. And we're playing Torrey Pines North, which was not part of the original release. You also have Pebble Beach and all these golf courses that you constantly are keeping coming onto the game, which is just, it's a never ending cycle. And it seems like the sky's the limit with golf, how many golf courses are out there, how many golfers, how many different things, how many features and all that stuff that you can add. You really do have just unlimited amount of things that you can work on, which has to be a good feeling, but also a little bit daunting, I'm assuming, because golf is so big now and so expansive that you could literally spend your whole life adding things into this game.
Yeah, you know, to golf's credit too, the last couple of years, it's really started to see growth within itself. So it's like we're chasing and expanding a moving target.
Right, you added Topgolf. That's a perfect example too. Like that's something you probably never thought you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, it wasn't on our radar, right? And so you see these new opportunities jump up, and like, especially too, like the skill of that kind of core top 15, top 20 golfers right now, where like this mass amount of potential tied into these individuals who are so young that like they've got 20 plus years ahead of them, and like they're starting to steer the game in their own direction. And you're just seeing golf is in a really good place and it's growing. So it's, yeah, like you said, it can be daunting trying to like draw a circle around everything that interests you, that catches your eye. I mean, I was in Florida a couple months ago and like popped into a pop stroke for the first time. I'm like, what is this? It's amazing. Like, there's just so many cool new things happening in the golf scene that, yeah, there's no shortage of content for sure.
And how big is the team? To Trent's question, how big like would our guys work, or guys and girls working on this thing like directly on the game?
Oh, great question. I know that we continue to kind of grow. I would say right now we're probably pushing over triple digits. We were over 100 for sure. Yeah,
wow.
and growing. And we have, you know, we reach out, we get additional support. Specialists kind of come in for certain areas if you need for different parts of the game. But I would say within HB itself, kind of shrunk down to our side of the studio, not including 2K, who massive amounts of support, tons of headcount on that side. But the HB family, kind of on this side of the line, we're at about 100 people.
We saw, the inner workings of getting scanned into the game. We got scanned ourselves. It was super fun. They drove right into a parking lot at the Barstool Classic. It was as seamless as anything as I've ever seen. The guys on the truck. Oh my God. And they were so like blown away that we were so like into it, because they're like, when we do the pros, they like just, this is a problem on their schedule sometimes where like we have to do this.
It's like we're all humans. We're all red blooded humans. Like that is cool to anyone.
Oh
like,
my
they're
God.
Just holding up a facade. I don't buy that for a second.
That's what I said. I'm like, dude, I walked in there and I'm looking around like there's 1,000 cameras in here. And the way that these guys are making they instantly made our face on the screen. All of a sudden we were like animated already and saying the letters A, B, C. It was absolutely mind blowing. And I'm sure that like if you've done it 30 times,
it's like a body snatch.
Well, for the guys for the professional golfers, that's at least on their radar. Like if I get good enough, there's a chance I'm going to be in a video game. That's just part of the deal when you become a professional athlete. For guys like us, bloggers, podcasters, cameramen, pizza guys, security guards, that's what we are. At no point did we think we were ever going to be in a video game. So sure, we walk onto this trailer in Boston that has 15,000 cameras on it, and we're like, this is the craziest thing that we've ever done. So yeah, we were blown away.
And now, if I can ask you guys a couple follow-ups, like that experience, right, where it's one thing you get blown away, you see the tech and all that. Did you have that mild pang of like performance anxiety where they're like, say these letters for me, and you're like, do I know how to say the letter A? Where like it's quite intimidating in terms of like you are in the center of that little orbit, and it's just
make a mad face. I'm like, I don't know what a mad face is. I don't know if I've ever done. I don't know what. Like I didn't even know how to use my mouth anymore. Or my nose. Scrunch your nose real hard. I'm like, I can't do it. I was screaming at them.
Yeah, like look scared, look happy. Like having to do those things on command was very interesting. The people who helped us were great. They were showing us models and like they would do it themselves. Like this is how you do it. But it was a very interesting process for guys who never thought they would be there.
And full credit to pros too, right? Because pros are able to start to connect that, because like that can be some of the things that end up being tough in a motion capture scenario. Is trying to elicit performance from a pro where you're pulling them out of their comfort zone. You're not on a golf course. You're in a spandex suit with ping pong balls, and we're asking them to simultaneously be as happy as they've ever been or as disappointed as they've ever been. And we're so lucky to be able to have great teams who have been through those experiences to kind of coach the individuals through it, because then on the other end, the better those performances get, the more realism you see on the back end, which is when it ends up in the game, and you're able to capture that kind of nuance, and you're really looking at that person.
Now, are we the first people in the history of video games to ever respond to an email and say, "Can we make the characters a little bit chubbier?" I mean, we have to talk about Trent's back and forth with his emails and mine. And I mean, I don't know who I have to thank for making me rip. My arms are absolutely jacked. I've got thighs I look like an Olympic wrestler out there. It's unbelievable. But I remember there being conversation where on the phone and an email, Trent goes, something just needs to be a little bit bigger. And everyone just exploded laughing, being like, because that's the realistic part of it, right? We're regular guys, and we like to really like hammer that home.
I think that's a big part of the attraction to you guys as individuals and to your brand and what you've built, is that approachability and that real earnestness. And I think that it's endearing. And so like from our side, to be able to approach it that way was a lot of fun for us, because we usually face the opposite problem, which is kind of, I'm not sure if it's self-consciousness or if it's just maybe a projected image of self from sometimes when you're working with athletes or things like that have not seen themselves represented digitally before. And it goes the other way of wanting to kind of trim things or tighten things or bring them in or amplify to kind of the light superhero pass, if you will. And we also totally get that feeling too, right? So it created a new challenge. And I mean, our team loves to dive in on these types of things. So no, it was a pleasure to do it, and happy to do it. But yeah, in terms of a direct request, you may be the first that comes to mind.
Well, another one was I wanted my attributes to be where I actually was, because in a video game, like you're saying with the looks, it goes the same with attributes. Maybe, I don't want my power to be 85. I want my power to be 38. Like I want it to be realistic. And you guys did that. And I don't know if you saw, but we've gotten feedback from golf course creators on the game and in the world who are like, we love standard. Dude, we love that Trent is in the game, because that means if his character can play my golf course that I created, that means it's playable for every single level. I just thought that was great, but I loved when I got the attributes. It made me laugh so much because they are a reflection of my golf game, and it's like a perfect match when you play my character.
But and to your credit, I love the approach, because we're huge fans of like all the stuff you guys put out. The Breaking 90 series in particular, right? We're having watched it and taken that in and seen that is a real experience with the sport of golf. When you're coming into it, everyone goes through it. Everyone who picks up a club is going to go through it, and it's so relatable. But like you said, in the video game world, we tend to bring kind of the floor or the base level up to have that level of escapism or fantasy where it's like, I'm a little bit better version of myself. And so to ask for this kind of truthful reflection was really cool. And so our design team loved jumping in on it. And of course, with your support, it'd be very different if we went the other way and just kind of pulled it out of our hats and said, we're just doing a deal with it. So no, that one was cool, is it gave us a learning experience and something to build off of where, the course designer community like jumped up and they're like, this is awesome. We're so glad you added it. And it's like, well, shout out Trent. That wasn't us. So.
Shout out to being a terrible golfer, which is just kind of where I'm at. So
I don't know. I'd say you're average or better. I see enough golf around me that, don't sell yourself too short. There's a lot of people who talk about their golf game being better, but
true. It's getting better.
Another a big hurdle was Trent's glasses. So we got a million different renditions of Trent, and it seemed as though like every single one looked exactly like him, but because it takes you guys so long to make the video game, because there's so much work that goes into it, it seemed as though all the glasses that were already put in the game, they were already like defaulted glasses, and they're like, these are the options we have. And Trent and I would sit in the car and we'd be like, I think they just need to make the glasses less cool. Like something about them just are too cool.
The truth is that I have such outdated glasses that if this were PGA Tour 1995, then my glasses would have been in there. But the fact of the matter is it's PGA Tour 2K23, and my glasses just weren't in there. But you guys and your team did such a great job. I sent you like 10 pictures. You guys were like, just send us a bunch of pictures of these glasses. I took them off on this desk that we're doing it on right now. I did a full photo shoot with my glasses and sent them over. And in less than 24 hours, you guys had it nailed. And I was so impressed by that. I really was.
And you know what? Again, like it was a fun, interesting request that maybe something we weren't prepared for. Because you're right, Frankie. We tried to Big Brother hand me down a little bit, where it's like the sporty glasses are close, and we went through it and we Goldilocks, and we didn't just write it until you sent us the glasses. So no, and you know what? Full credit, because when those glasses did go on, immediately it was just Trent, and that was the thing that turned the corner from being Trent-like to Trent.
You guys had the face perfect. Like you could just see it right here. It was all me. And then when you guys put the glasses on, it was just like, there I am. I'm now in a video game, and it was really stunning.
Working with the big cat, Tiger Woods, El Tigre, what was that experience like, getting that guy to really just be all in on the game? He's always on social media talking about it. He's obviously on the cover. How was that whole experience of like really like dialing in his swing, getting his face perfect? Because that's the first time anyone's seen him in a video game in a real long time. So there was a lot of pressure with that. I was nervous for you guys. Like, Tiger's in the game. This is a big one.
Humbling, scary, exciting, all of those things, kind of all the emotions, because, as a fan, I think it is probably something you and your team deal with too, where there are the moments where the fan in you just boils over and it's right there. And so then you have to take a deep breath. You have to step back and say, okay, like, our part of this puzzle, the thing that we can do well, which is like build a character, put it in a great game, make them move like a real person that we've done in the past. We knew we could get there. So we just had to kind of get past the initial awe factor and shock of being in the Tiger Woods world. Mm-hmm. And then it became a less scary task. Did I hold my breath every time we sent over renders for approvals? Absolutely. But, we may have, we caught Tiger at a good time when we did the scans and everything too. Because if you remember, when Tiger came out of kind of being on crutches for a while, like, he was stacked. Dude was like, we caught like huge shoulder, big arm Tiger. So when those images went back over, like we caught the right time where he's like, oh, that was good. It's like, okay,
yeah,
perfect. So we just gave you the Tiger arms treatment.
We've already talked about a lot of the history of the studio and kind of how you got here, but what's been your favorite part of this whole thing? Has it been the acquisition? Has it been seeing it explode? What's your favorite part about being, in the back end of this game?
Oh, that's a great question. I can only really speak for myself. My team would have probably a million different answers, but for me, it's been kind of the validation that the hard work will pay off, right? It's that, it's earned, not given, where we have an interesting story that I always joke will probably someday end up being a 30 for 30, where it's like we were a small independent studio who built an unbranded, unfranchised game, and then within a couple of releases got to a major sports league partnership, a major publishing partnership, and an all-time generational athlete on the cover within like 4 releases. That's not the typical trajectory of any sports franchises that I know of within kind of the video game space. You kind of see it go the other direction where those partnerships are kind of there from day one and they build upon it, right? So for us to kind of turn the corner and build that up, that's been the most rewarding thing, is to see that we've maintained a lot of the same individuals and they've grown their skills and their confidence and their ability over time too, to now be sitting in a position where we have access to so much skill, so much talent, and so much interest too. Tiger Woods, amazing, huge. We put Michael Jordan in our game. We put Steph Curry in our game. What is happening? The amount of interest that comes into golf, where golf turns into this hobby and this passion for people, especially pro athletes, it seems too, where the look on Steph's face when we put him in the game and did the reveal and handed him the phone at Topgolf, that man has won everything.
Right.
He's an all-time, and the genuine childlike excitement on his face was that was one of my favorite moments. Being able to give somebody like Steph Curry something that he gets that excited about and is genuinely thrilled to be part of, that's super cool.
He might care about golf more than basketball.
I don't know. I'm good.
He loves it. He played in our Barstool Classic at Half Moon Bay last year, a week after he won the title, and we were like, "This is crazy." But he was he just wanted to play golf.
What a mega athlete, right? Just too good.
Absolutely insane. One of my favorite parts of this entire us being in the game has been all the tweets and all the tags and Instagrams of people trying to break 90 with Trent on it. So what's right above Let Master? Is it legendary mode? What's the top one?
Yeah.
Legendary mode, where you can't even see where the ball goes. You're just right behind the player. It's the most realistic version of the game. And guys who make livings off streaming, guys who legitimately are streamers, can't even do it, right? Apex Hound, one of our guys that we play with all the time, he just he shot an 89 and was doing laps around his house, and it was his best moment that he had on the video game. So that's been so cool for us to be able to see people actually enjoy what we the idea that we all came up with, right? This was during COVID, we had nothing else to do. I started playing the golf club years ago, obviously, and then I just started streaming because we had nothing else to do. And then we make a Barstool Golf Society that grows up to 150,000 players in it. The society was insane. I was overwhelmed with it. We were doing events every single night, and it's imagine we were in this game, and then you blink, it's we're in the game. It's it's actually it makes. To us, it's it makes no sense. We almost thought that someone was being held at gunpoint. We're why is this happening? Because we're always going to think that about ourselves. Clearly, we have to take a step back sometimes and realize that this thing's a little bit bigger than we ever anticipated it. But for me specifically, I just want to thank you guys of just this is a dream come true, man. It's every kid's dream to be in a video game, right? That is. I've spent so many hours on the 2K engine in NBA, standing in front of the the whitest wall you can find with the best lighting, so that facial recognition thing would work. And then my guy would end up green or yellow, and it just didn't work. And I would end up getting so frustrated. Although I am easy to recreate, I'm just generic character one, just skin tone, no facial hair, eyes are symmetrical, everything's just very bland. There's nothing that I have to do with that. But for me, to you, it's just, and I'm sure Trent as well, it's just a heartfelt thank you to you guys for really trusting us with your game, your baby that you guys have built to this point. And I'll never be able to thank you enough for that, because it's just it's been the honor of my life so far as being in this game. It really has been.
That's phenomenal. And again, know that it's a mutual admiration and respect. In my opinion, again, you've done it the right way too. You guys have built this thing up, and you grind it. And for me to say it's great to put you in that game, I couldn't be happier when we found out we were putting you in the game, because again, I love your story, and I love that you've become, and your team have become, part of the fabric of what golf is now. A lot has changed in the last couple of years, and look no further than seeing endemic brands partnering directly with content creators, and you see that golf is in a new, and in my opinion, better and more interesting space than it was, and you guys played a part of it. So to be in a golf game that represents the modern world of golf, that makes sense to us.
It really is a benchmark. When we when we announced that we were going to be in the video game, I had people reach out that I haven't talked to in 15 years. Like, we've done a lot. Like, we've been lucky enough, or we've worked hard enough, whatever you want to say about it, where we've met all these cool people, we've interviewed these great guests, we've done these huge videos, but there was nothing like the response to being in a video game. Because it's like Frankie said, that is a dream come true for every single kid. So to just even have that moment where it was like, we're going to be in this video game, and having people reach out was just far and away one of the biggest accomplishments for this brand, and you guys are obviously a huge part.
We thought it was like an April Fool's joke. What wasn't it?
A little bit.
Wasn't it supposed to come out on? Did it end up coming out on April 1st? I think there was like maybe the first. Well, before we fixed the glasses, I think like April. We were talking about April 1st, and I'm like, oh, this is just an April Fool's joke. This is the meanest joke anyone's ever done on us. They spent all this money bringing the truck out here. I'm like,
we're not those kind of people, Frankie. We're good. We're Canadians. We don't tease that way up here. Straight shooters.
Oh my gosh, I was like, something's going on here because this is not happening. On the golf physics side, what was the biggest hurdle of getting this game to be realistic? Because you see other games in the past and all these other things were super arcadey. This is the most photorealistic. Like, the gravity seems to be working in this game better than any game I've ever played. What was the biggest hurdle with that? Because the ball moves like a real golf ball.
Well, that's just it, right? Is that, one of the big benefits I think we have with our team is like a long history in working in sports and working like in sports titles. So the approach from our engineers that kind of drive the physics is always reality first. And I would argue almost to the painful level where like in my role working as creative director, I'm working with my design team, my UI UX team, my audio team. And then the engineering teams, like we interface and we cross over with them. And like they hold us honest to a fault. Where like I may come in and say like, I saw a great shot and it feels like it did this. And they're like, that means nothing to me. I need to know the specifics of the time of day, the angle of approach, the club head speed. Like, so when we got into golf as subject matter, it was awesome because as you guys know, like golf is so stats heavy and stats driven. And the PGA Tour does an amazing job of tracking everything that happens on the course. And so historically and going back, so long story short, it's that we draw from such a deep base of real world data. And then we go through and we find another source of real world data. Like it is a labor of love, and the individuals behind the physics side on our side take a great amount of pride in really making it a working model to the highest, closest level of accuracy that they can. Sometimes to the detriment, because we've been told like we are the Dark Souls or Diablo of golf games, which we hear you. But I think you're right that that's really where we have to build out from within the game. And so we brought other ways to kind of soften the entry point for new players. But yeah, the physics is always going to be near and dear to us. And it's just, it's lots of work. It's lots of tuning. It's lots of play testing too, because there has to be the balance between if it's doing what kind of the numbers say it should be doing and how it feels in the game. So it's always kind of a collaboration between those groups, but they go deep. They go very, very deep. And we're very lucky that golf has so many data pools to pull from.
On the creative side, you guys have the announcer, and he just absolutely roasts some of us when we got into that game. That one line, Rich was out of control, man.
Have you ever met Rich?
No.
You should. Rich Beam, major winner, 2002 PGA Championship.
Is that who that is?
For real. That's Rich Beam, American folk hero.
Holy smokes.
We got him on the call right now. He'd love to talk to you guys.
God, I get up to the tee and he goes, what does he say? He goes, we have an icon in the game of sports, in the game of golf today.
Sorry. I think for your guys' audio, it might be our in-house announcer, John.
Okay.
That's who it is.
That's who it is.
Yes, John.
That's who it is. Yeah. He goes, we have, because I was going to say, I don't think it was Rich. He goes, we have an icon in the game of golf today. Just kidding. It's only Frankie Borelli. I hope you have a great day. It's just like, holy
shit. Which I think is great.
It was one of the best. I laughed so hard at that when someone sent it to me, because the first two times we played were on stream, and I'm not the best technological person ever. I can't even get the audio to play through my ears when I'm talking to you guys. So I didn't hear it.
Trust me, Josh knows. He was here for the first half
an hour trying to get. He can't even see what we're doing right now. But then people started sending it in, and there's multiple of them. It's just on the creative side and just like how it feels like a real a real broadcast while also you're in it. You're the one playing. I think you guys nailed that as well. I think the commentary is great. The fact that it's fresh and new and you're always hearing something different on a different round of 18, that to me is really impressive. It's not the same. I play games sometimes where it's like you play the regular season and it's like they say the same stories about every single player and every single team. Like it's like, oh man, it just doesn't feel real. This feels like the guys there watching me golf. It's really cool.
No, I appreciate that feedback, and I'll be sure to share it with our team. Our audio team is small but mighty. Not a big team, but absolute hitters. And yeah, John, in-house commentator. So he's been in there since the beginning, right? So John is local fellow, lives in the area. I play golf with John multiple times a week type of thing. We're always around. And so, yeah, he came to me with the idea of some of these kind of stingers or lines for you guys when he came in. Because again, fan of the content, watches it, and knows kind of, I guess, the general tone of the kind of pieces that you put together. And so, yeah, no, that was fully driven from him. And he said, hey, do you think this is cool? Is this a little offside? Should we check in with them? And so he ran some lines by me, and I was like, no, let it rip. I think we're good.
Dude, those were our most watched and interacted clips that we got. I mean, it was millions of views of him. I
think he called me butter knives at one point.
He called me butter knives at one point. Okay. I did hear that one, but he just shreds me, which is unbelievable. Like, for people that are just casually scrolling on Twitter, they're like, oh shit, Frankie is in a video game. And then you listen to the clip and they're like, and they're roasting him. What am I actually witnessing right now? Because our fans, foreplay fans, Barstool fans in general, what Dave really has built at this company is like, they kind of are like, they look at everything that happens to us and our brand as it's happening to them. So it's like cool to see that like even the game gets it for our fans. You know what I mean? Like that you guys not only put us in, but like also we're in on the joke, in on like what we do. I think that's why it's such a good partnership, because it wouldn't have worked if you guys didn't know that, if it was like we had to be buttoned up and it had to be old man media golf and like it's, you know what I mean? This is our golf. We should be calling it butter knives. We should be getting roasted on the tee because we stink. And like, that's why we're there,
It's a little bit of, it's the sweet and the salty. Right?
Yeah.
It's got to be a little bit of contrast in good fun. So no, I love hearing that you guys appreciated that. Because again, to your point earlier, Trent, like Easter eggs, that was a little sprinkling we tried to put in there for to see if you pick up.
And it goes such a long way. Like it goes such a long way. Like you think like, oh, we'll throw a couple jabs at them and we'll put it in the game and like it doesn't take that much work. But then like Frankie's saying, when our fans see it, they're like, this is incredible that they're calling Frankie Butterknives in a golf video game. So it goes such a long way.
Well, for us, we always want to represent the people that we bring into our product as authentically as we can, and we want to make sure that our team is always doing the homework to be a good partner, right? Like that's the whole thing on how this thing keeps going. Is like you can't be tone deaf to partnerships and the people that you bring in, and you try and represent the product, and then you want to do these kind of crossover things with like you said, it would be totally offbeat for us to kind of go a different direction that didn't align with who you guys were and kind of what you guys are putting out there for content yourself. So
one of my favorite parts of being in the video game as a guy with really low attributes is I like to think about people who have no idea who we are, who don't know who Frankie and me, foreplay, whatever. Just someone who got the game and they're like, I love golf video games. Oh, PGA Tour 2K23.
I love his glasses. I'm going to pick that.
Scroll through the characters, Tiger Woods, Colin Morikawa, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry. And then there's these guys, and there's one guy in particular who has no attributes. And I'm not even framing this as a question. I'm just letting you know that this is one of the things that brings me joy when I'm laying in bed at night staring at the ceiling, thinking about the guy or the girl scrolling through the golfers, being like, who the hell is this guy?
Well, it's our pleasure. So
I just wanted you to know that that's part of.
That's going to take over my thoughts now when I'm laying there looking at the ceiling.
Right.
We're in the game. We're just in it.
No, absolutely. And I mean, like, it's worth shouting out too, like all of the activations we've done, the gear, the Break 90 Challenge, like hugely successful, mini challenge series where the fans are coming out in droves to play it and they're enjoying it. And like, I've seen great chatter about it online and with socials as well. And so it's been great. Like we love sprinkling the new gear in there.
Yep.
It's been awesome. Like the fans are gravitating to it in a big way.
I've always wondered what are you guys a fan of up there in Nova Scotia? Is it like, aren't you closer to Boston than you would be Montreal?
Yeah, pretty much. We kind of hang out on the side, right? So like from the southern part of the province in Yarmouth, there used to be a ferry that would bring you down to like Bar Harbor or Maine,
To Maine,
so you
yeah.
can cut across. So yeah, we're not too far off. Yeah, I mean, hockey's big here. Obviously, we've got Sid, we've got Nate, so we've got a pretty high pedigree on the hockey side in the last couple of years. But I guess much like probably New England, Massachusetts area, big sailing community, we're on the water. We're surrounded by water on kind of three sides, so it's a lot of sail, especially down where we're located too. Fishing, sailing.
So would you say it's predominantly like you guys are just NHL fans? Like you'll root for like Sid and Nathan, or is Nova Scotia like a certain team? Like, do you guys all root for one team?
No, it's kind of, yeah, that's a good question. We used to have a couple of AHL teams back in the day.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, we had the Cape Breton Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
Loved Oilers. You see the Titan back here from Maine himself.
There you go. Yeah.
So they had the firm team for the Oilers, and Halifax used to have a firm team for Quebec. So back then, you were kind of AHL fans by proxy. You were fans of the club. And then I think in the later years, Sid being such a dominant force and incredible player, picked up a lot of Pens fans.
Mm-hmm.
And then historically, Boston was a team a lot of people would follow because we sent a Christmas tree down to Boston every year. And so we've got that connection from this part of the world too. But yeah, no,
wow.
Hockey's probably still the biggest one out here in terms of sports for sure. Golf's picking up though. I mean, Cabot's properties up in Cape Breton are, unbelievable, world class, and kind of again came out of nowhere, right? Where all of a sudden they've got a handful of courses that are regarded as some of the best in the world. So golf is definitely on the map up here as well too.
I got
what's
a guy.
Your game of golf? You play a lot, or like what's your skill level at as a golfer?
Oh, I play a lot. Skill level TBD. So I'm a COVID golfer. So as much as I've worked in sports games for a long time, golf wasn't something I gravitated to younger. So I picked it up pretty late. So I've been playing 2.5-ish, maybe 3 years now, and coming along well. So, I mean, I feel good. I hit those milestones. I've got through my 100. I've got through my 90. I'm now trying to figure out how to stay consistent in that range, but getting there. A lot of golfers on the team.
Speaking of guys that have played, you said Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon. I got a guy on the Islanders from up there. I'm pretty sure Ross Johnson is a Nova Scotia guy, if that name rings a bell. I don't think that he thought that he'd be getting a shout out on a golf podcast, on a golf stream with 2K, but that's I always hear him talking about going up to the farm I just saw him recently and he was like, I went back, just great to just work with the hands. He was working on the farm up in Nova Scotia and he's like, it's just great to get, just cut some grass and be outside and just not look at my phone. He's like, just hardworking people up there, just humble, hardworking people back there. It's not New York City. I got to visit out there. I've never been to Cabot, never been anywhere really in Canada, just Toronto for the Barstool Classic. It's the only time I've ever been to Canada. So,
open invitation anytime you or the gang or whomever wants to come up. The door's open. We'll get out, play some golf. We'll get on a boat. It'll be a good one.
We would absolutely
come see the studio.
See, we really want to do that. I don't know what the future holds for all of us, but I definitely want to come see how it's actually made. I want to come into the kitchen. If you guys come to Borelli's, I'll show you how the sauce is made. I want to see with my own eyes. I want the ping pong balls. I want all that stuff because, as much as this has been a dream, I feel like I still have a couple things to itch there because I really want to. I want to watch the computers. I want to see guys moving mouses around and moving the faces and molding shit. I want to know how the lighting works and how you guys decide on what to do and how does the lighting work. When you do the creator, it's it's the world. I can pick the time and the lighting works with all the shadows. It's crazy, man. It blows my mind. You essentially we talk about, and I'm going on a rant. We essentially talk about the world being a simulation. We talk about how the world's a simulation sometimes on the podcast. You guys
we're really going on a rant.
You guys literally create a world simulation in there, right? For these little characters, you've created that. What's that movie, Free Guy? You guys have created the sun goes around, Trent. When I'm in that builder, the sun goes around and the shadows cast off the trees. How I don't get it. I know you can't explain it to me. It's like you just got to learn how to make a video game. But it's
kind of a little bit. It's that, again, this represents one of those pockets of like deep pride within some of our engineers who like they want to do it to the detailed level, to the deepest that they can, that is like humanly possible. So like it's so deep, Frankie, to say like if I get a photo of Morikawa on a fairway at Riviera because I like the angle, I like the way the sun is hitting it, and I'll be like, yeah, I want us to kind of think about bringing this type of lighting in or this type of do. We have individuals who are then going to take that JPEG, go to the raw metadata attached to it, find the position of the sun, the time of day, where it was taken, what hemisphere it was in, the geographical pin location, and then they will like reverse engineer that against like a Google Maps layout of top, like they go so deep. So to your question of it looks real is because they base so much of it on raw data, and then they start as that kind of source of truth, and then we work to bring it in and try and, you know, soften around the edges. But no, like they're really taking that level of detail into account as they try and plan for things like, how do we think about the position of the sun? If it's a desert theme, okay, well, traditionally the sun is going to come from this side. Like it's,
oh my God,
there's not a lot of guesswork. It's pretty hard.
Wow, man, it's a lot to handle. It really is. It's like, you know, because our generation, this is all we've known. We've known video games. It's like I've been brought up on it, all different types. Every single type of video game under the sun, I was sitting in front of a TV playing it. I love it. I have such a passion for it, and I've grown to love the behind the scenes of it. I'll sit there and watch videos all day about how this stuff is made. And I'm just so fascinated by it. So yeah, we got to come up there and see it because there's no reason why. There's no reason why we shouldn't be in Nova Scotia, number one, to go play golf, and number two, to not see how this stuff's made. There's no reason.
No, sounds like a plan.
Well, we appreciate you coming on here. We won't have you on all night. Yeah, I mean, really, thank you for everything. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for answering our questions. We'd love to have you on again. As you know, we can as we have questions, we'll just kind of ping you and get you on here real quick. If something's irking us, or if we can't get the ball in the hole, we'll yell at you.
No problem.
But no, we really do appreciate it, and we're looking forward to all the things that you guys can come up with in the future. I'm a huge fan of this series, regardless of if I'm in the game or not. So really looking forward to everything that you guys are probably working on right now. And yeah, man, just thanks for everything. Really exciting stuff.
Well, hey, again, I speak on behalf of myself, the whole team, 2K family. Our absolute pleasure. So love working with you guys. Looking forward to what the future holds. And yeah, thanks for reaching out. And again, anytime you want to chat, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So.
Awesome. Really appreciate it, Josh.
Thank you, man.
That's Josh from HB Studios.
Thanks, everyone.
Obviously, PGA Tour 2K23. If you don't have it, get in on it right now. I kind of messed up my little screen here now, Trent. So give me a second. You know what happens? You know what happens when this happens? When someone exits and now it's just...
Well, now, I don't know what happens on the technical side, but I know that your eyes start to dart left and right, and you start to freak out. That's what I.
There's a lot of Command Alts and Command Fs that I got to start doing because what happens is we're on Discord and he kind of just like moves my boxes around. There we go. Now we're good. We're good. That guy's impressive, man. And these Canadians are so freaking nice. I couldn't even drop a hard F-bomb just there because I just feel like they're just so nice. They're so nice. He
was great. He was really just a great guy. Creative director, guy who's just been in the trenches making video games.
I really was interested when he said they started making other games. I'd love to get my hands on that hockey game, like just see what that was like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that was great. That was really it was fun to get like an inside look. It was fun talking to him about the glasses, the attributes, you being an Olympic wrestler type now. That stuff it's so fascinating.
Yeah, and the future's only bright for those guys. I mean, with now the backing that they have with 2K, a couple years into it, obviously a huge success this year with how many they've sold, and just like you could just tell the hype. I mean, when we got it, we got our numbers and see how many times people have like made a par and bogey with us. They sent us those stats. It's just astronomical amount of people playing with our character. So it's like it's just I can't imagine what the next iteration of this game will be. I didn't want to like put him on the spot and ask him about that stuff, but like you can only think like the next version of this game is just going to be preposterous.
Well, the way he made it sound, and it's got to be the truth, is that there's so much that goes into it, and there's so many there's so many things they put in the game after they release it that it's got to just always be moving. So like it seems like you put a game out, and then what it's going to be in the next one. I'm sure they know, and they've been working on it. They've been putting in Torrey Pines. They've been putting in all these golf courses. Yeah, no, I'm obviously very interested to see what they do with the game next, but it seems like it's always a work in progress.
Let's get some likes in the video. You know, we had a nice special guest on. We probably had our lowest amount of concurrent viewers by like it was like a fifth of our usual viewers. So I'm not very happy with the chat right now. I asked for some questions. They didn't give us any. We had a nice guest on our channel here, and nobody was asking me any questions. So I need you guys to like the video and make sure that when this thing is on YouTube and lives on forever, that people send it to their buddies and send it to their pals, because it's a great conversation. I mean, this is the game that we play, and we just talked to like the guy who like makes it all happen on the creative side, and that's really impressive. And to be there from the very beginning, man, what a ride for those guys. I'm telling you, dude, I used to look at it. I used to read up on this HB Studios back in the day, and they were like a cult, the fans of HB Studios, because there was always these big video game makers, right? You had like the EAs and the 2Ks at the time, and MLB The Show was like the San Diego studio, and like all of a sudden you had this like video game that was just better than everything else, like he said, with like no backing, no licensing, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, you almost felt like it was like indie, like it was like an indie video game where you're like you felt like you were part of like something by playing it. You're like, no one knows about this game. Like, this is sick. And and now they're just here.
A little bit like, not exactly, but when we were starting to team up with all these tournaments for merch, it's like, holy shit, these guys, they're teaming up with everybody and a big engine. It's like there's a lot of parallels between what they're doing and what Barstool's done and what we have done. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's all right, Alec. Alex says we apologize. It's fine. You know, next time just be better. When we have him on again, I need you guys to be a little bit more vocal. I need you to be a little bit more involved.
Real disappointment in your voice right now.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we come out here and we talk about, like, we played Hogwarts last time for like 1,000 people, and everyone's like going crazy for every single hole. This guy like invented Hogwarts in the video game, so it's like, come on. Have you guys played any courses in and around NOLA? Thinking I have my bachelor party there. Need suggestions. All we played was TPC Louisiana, and it was quite the great golf course.
I like that place. Yeah.
You might even run into the king of the South of brick watches, Mincy, Ben Mintz.
Yeah, congrats on the new gig.
Congrats on the new
salesman
gig.
for the Brick Watch Company, Ben Mintz. Huge.
He's just gonna wreak havoc down south for Brick.
That's right. Did you watch the negotiations?
Oh my
video?
god.
The best.
Halfway through the call, David didn't even say anything about it. He goes, "Yeah, I'll just." He goes, "I'll just explode through the South and just get these." He said something very minty. He's like, "I'll just bring these things. I'll just wreak havoc down south, and we'll just blow this thing up."
The best part was he's like, this works perfectly with that when I was just kind of dancing all over the South. So this is gonna be perfect. I'll just put the watches on.
Yeah.
And I'll sell it to everybody in the South. It's like, God, I just
prancing around. I think he said.
Gallivanting.
Yeah, this will work for all that gallivanting I was doing down south. I'll just keep doing that now. And the best was when he called him. He called him up and he butt dialed him. And he was just a little bit more. He added a couple more details to whoever he was talking to. He's like, there's opportunities. He goes, there's opportunities to make a boatload of money after this. I fucking love that guy. I love that guy.
I love that guy, and it's just, that's a stroke of genius from Dave Portnoy. That is just that's
you struck
the good
gold,
stuff,
man. You just struck gold with that guy. And Dave
So
Portnoy
shout
said
out
he
to
loves
him.
everything I'm doing. And he says there's opportunity to make boatloads of money after this 1 year. Things just I fucking love that guy. Well, Brick Watches, by the way, go out and get them.
Oh yeah,
I think there's a sale right now, the Ben Mintz sale. You got yours with you right now.
Right here, yeah. I'll show you. Oh god, I don't know.
Look at that thing. Wait, go to your right. Go to your right. Or your left, sorry. Wow. Just a little more to your right. Yeah. Yep. Just a little more to your right. A little more to your right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Look at that thing.
Yeah. Comes in this fucking beautiful case. Really nice. Yeah, there's a 20% sale right now.
Ben Minsdale.
Oh, I'm sweating. Why am I sweating? Oh, well. I tried my suit on because I got a couple weddings coming up. I tried my suit on today. It sort of fits. So
that's huge.
That's good news. I got to drop it off the dry cleaners. But it sort of fit.
Yeah, it's big time. Barstool Pickleball Open. That's something that's happening. I don't know how many people in this chat are even from Long Island or play pickleball, but if you somehow see this video on the internet, the Barstool Pickleball Open is live on Monday, June 5th for registration. That's going to be super fun. We're playing in Smithtown, Long Island. This is the first of many. I'm hoping that if this is a success, which I hope it will be, because pickleball is fucking huge right now. If this is a success, we'll just bring this thing from city to city.
Walk me through divisions, men, women. What's the deal with all that?
Yeah, so it's mixed. So we have two different tiers of skill set. Essentially, they're handicap systems. So like the 3.5 division is like equivalent to 15 and higher handicap in golf. Okay. So within that skill set, we have a men's division of teams of two, and then a mixed division of a man and a female, which is huge in the pickleball community. There's a ton of girls that play. They all have like partners that are really good, and they're all really good. And it's just like, we just felt like if we can nail the mixed aspect, that'll set us up real nice for the future of like showing that like everyone can literally play in it, because it is pickleball. Right. Everyone can play. It should not just be a man's fucking tournament. So
no.
So we got that, and then the 4.0 division, which is, I might have to tweak it a little bit, because like 4.0 is like a 5 to 10 handicap. But then also we're basically saying 4.0 and up. So like those scratch golfers, those scratch handicap, those scratch pickleball players are like 4.5 and 5.0. Those guys are like professionals. They might just kind of dust the guys that are 4.0 because it's a whole nother league. It's crazy. It's like playing against a +1 when you're a 10 or like a 5, you know?
Yeah, that's a gap for sure.
So, but the only problem is like I just didn't, for the first tournament, I didn't want like a million divisions. Even though you're selling to pickleball players who know the sport and they know the divisions and shit, I kind of felt like it was a little too confusing. I think in the next one we'll get more divisions because we'll realize that like they just want it the right way and they don't care about like it being simple to understand. But we'll see. I think there's going to be good players no matter what divisions you make. I think there's going to be like sandbagging of like, I think not sandbagging, but I think like all really good players are going to join that 4.0 one. And if you're not a really good player, it might be a little tough to win it. I mean, you'll still have good matches, but I think there's going to be good players in it. Same with the Barstool Classic. There's good players playing the Barstool Classic.
Right. I was just going to say, it really makes you look at the golf handicap system like, oh, there's a reason this fucking thing exists.
Yeah. And there is no handicap in pickleball. It's just you're supposed to get paired up against people in your skill set.
Oh,
ooh, but there's no like, all right, you start the game 4 up. Like there is no that.
Right. No, I'm excited for it. It's going to be great. Pickleball. People fucking love pickleball. People especially love pickleball in Long Island. That's why you're doing the first one out here and see where it goes. But people love pickleball.
Yep. Yippers.
Oh. Are we in burgers tomorrow night?
Parlor? What time do you land? Like 6 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm on the same flight as B. Jones. You're on that flight?
Is it like 5 o'clock?
It's like, yeah.
LGA?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on that one. We'll go straight to Parlor.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Oh. Yep.
Figure we'll just finish this round here.
Sure. Fine with me. It's getting dark.
I had Greek for dinner tonight.
How was it?
So good.
Yeah.
God, Greek is so good. Tzatziki sauce. Just bury me in it. Just fucking bury me in tzatziki sauce and fucking bread.
I kind of ate lunch at a weird time. I waited till 2:30.
Wow.
So now I'm in a weird spot. I'm kind of hungry right now. I might order dinner when we get done here.
Someone said, talk to me about these Parlor Burgers. Parlor Burger is a place in Minnesota, Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis. It actually, I forget the name of the restaurant that it started from, but there was a restaurant up top, and then there was a waiting room bar downstairs called Parlor. You actually would wait to get into the restaurant down below. It was like a waiting area, and you could get a drink. And then they realized that they would like sell like a burger. They'd put a burger on the menu for all the people that just wanted to sit down there, and it took off. It's this like, how would you describe it? It's one of those like smashed patties that have like 70% brisket and or like 30% brisket, 30% beef, like all. It's like one of those combined meats burgers.
Smash is the best way to describe it. It's just, those are my favorite types of burgers. Some people like those thick burgers.
Smashed.
What a pup I mean. But this one's smashed, and it's I don't know the contents of it, but
there's like 4 different types of meat that make this patty, and it's like a buttery bun, and it's that white American cheese.
Oh,
and they throw these little pickles on the side.
Melt in your mouth type of meat.
It actually tastes like candy. It's crazy. It's like sugary. It's fucking crazy. But and then they give you these little thin fries and that aioli, and they also give you a little bit of popcorn, like this nice peppery buttery popcorn as a appetizer. Fuck, man, we're gonna get that tomorrow night.
Yeah, I had it for the first time like a year ago. Maybe we were there for the Barstool Classic. I don't even remember what we were there for. But
Brock Nelson met you.
That was the first time I met him in person.
Yep. Brock Nelson. Yep. He'll probably enjoy a Parlor Burger with us this weekend because we're gonna be there for a couple of days. So
awesome! I can't wait.
I think we got Big Country Kyle Rudolph coming to the Barstool Classic, which will be fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Playing?
Yeah.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah.
Oh, Trent. We love Minnesota. We love Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a great state. Definitely way too cold in the winter. I actually, Super Bowl, what was that, 2018, 2019 when I went to Minnesota? Probably 2018. It's the coldest I've ever been in my life. I actually, for a moment, thought that I was going to die. I thought that my heart was going to stop beating. I wasn't prepared for how cold it was because we got there early. The sun was out. It was Super Bowl Sunday. I was in the stadium with Dave, and I guess the Eagles beat them there. Yeah, the Eagles beat the Patriots in Minnesota. So Dave
the all biz.
Yeah, and I was at the game with Bubbly Gang and Smitty and Dave. And Dave jetted out, and he's like, I'm leaving at the end, and I'm filming the confetti come down with Smitty crying, and he's crying in happiness. The Eagles are singing Fly, Eagles Fly. And so, like, Dave had a driver outside, like someone from whoever it was.
OMB?
OMB. Yeah, office manager Brett was probably there waiting for him outside, and I missed that. So now I left, like David left, and all the Eagles guys were staying. So now I'm by myself, and I wasn't prepared. I just had a hoodie on, like a thin hoodie, because I thought we were getting a drive home. I thought we had the whole thing like planned out, but he left and I didn't. And now I'm standing outside the stadium, dude, and I'm not even fucking kidding you. It was like minus 25 degrees, like legit, like minus 25 in February in Minnesota. And the wind was whipping outside the stadium, and it hit my body, and I actually thought that I was going to my heart was actually going to stop beating.
Dude, it gets cold there for sure. And it definitely gets colder there than it does in Iowa, but Iowa is just south of there. But I know if you go a little bit further north, it gets even colder. It's no joke. It's no joke.
The coldest I've ever been.
It's cold in the winter. That's true, but it's a great state.
They have like underground walkways from building to building there around that stadium so that you can get from place to place when it is cold and snowing. I could have made that up, but I'm pretty sure.
Might be true, might not be. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like negative 30 with the wind chill. It was fucking disgusting, dude.
No, it was, but then it gets really hot. When we played in Kyle Rudolph's golf tournament, it was blazing hot. So
Not to put any pressure on you here because we've just been talking, but I think if you par this hole, you shoot an 89.
Oh, really?
You know, if it's a par 72, you're 17 over.
Oh wow! I haven't paid attention for a second. I've just been talking.
I'm 2 under. And we're on master, by the way.
Are we?
Yeah. This would be quite the little virtual breaking 90, wouldn't it?
I also think we're playing the wrong Tory.
No, we're playing Tory North, yeah.
Yeah, not the wrong one, but you know.
Jeez, Trent.
All right. And I'm just saying that it's not the one. Like on this hole, if I were about to shoot at 89, I would want to make the tiger putt, but it's just a different golf course. I'm still gonna make a par.
Trent's character should be carrying his golf clubs in a suitcase. Oh no. That's a
You're
long
telling me
way.
if I par this hole, I get an 89.
I'm pretty sure if it's a par 72.
Pretty good
par
tee shot. I didn't
72.
top it off the tee or anything. All right.
If it's a par 72.
All right.
Oh boy.
I mean,
Are you kidding me?
that's my fucking life right now.
Are you kidding me?
That's my goddamn life right now. I'll tell you what.
You gotta make it up and down here.
I gotta go down here.
This is tough to watch.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, chip this in.
Watch me chip this in.
Watch me.
Oh, I mean, the garbage can right there.
Yeah, what's that garbage can doing there? Feels like it was a mistake, right?
In my eyes, like a ton of bricks seeing that thing. I'm gonna chip in for an 89 here. Is it par 72?
I can't see. Where's their scorecard? Here we go. It is a par 72.
Okay.
You gotta chip this in for 89. To the 148 people here, Trent's gonna try and break 90 here. Oh! Flag! Oh shit!
Come on!
Are you kidding?
That's a heartbreaker.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's just an 80. A 90.
90.
That's just a 90, dude.
Fuck.
That's phenomenal. I cannot
148
believe
people here.
that.
148 people almost witnessed history there.
That's a 90. It's an 18 over.
Bogey golf.
Oh boy, that's crazy. That's just what's going on. You know, you just can't break 90. That's just who Trent is. Virtual. You want to talk about? We just talked to the creative director at HB Studios and 2K. You want to tell me this game's not fucking realistic? Trent just shot a 90. All right, like he couldn't do it. He just fucking hit the bottom of the flag stick and it popped out.
Can't script it.
Cannot script it. All right, Trent. Well, that's an episode of Foreplay playing video games out here. This will stay. I think this will stay on the YouTube page. So if anyone is watching this later, please like and subscribe the video. Send it to whoever you need to send it to. It's a good interview. It's a good little. I would have loved that guy to come on the podcast. That was just a good talk. Super
Same.
interesting.
Yep.
Thank you to everyone in the chat as always. Have a great night. We got to go pack and get ready for a nice long trip. We're going to Minnesota. We're going to Wisconsin. We're going to New Mexico. And then we're going to go to DC and take back the White House. Yeah.
Howard Dean, that took place in Iowa. So
Howard Dean.
Yep.
In
All right.
Michigan. Yeah. This guy just...
Ended his presidential campaign.
Yep, with
Ended.
One noise.
Ended the whole thing.
We're
After
going
that,
to
they were like,
Washington DC, take back the White House. Yeah.
after that happened, the world collectively said, "We're not going to let this guy be president."
By the way, I played from the Reds in that match, and you played from the Whites, so that's why I shot 71.
All right, that makes you feel a little bit better.
All right, adios, everybody. Bon
All right.
voyage.